Hi, welcome to Matters of the Heart and Soul. I'm your host, Janie Charlo. Matters of the Heart and Soul is a podcast to raise awareness and awaken humanity to all that is within. We want to be a beacon of light on your life journey. Hi, welcome to Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast. This is Janie Charlo, your host, and co-hosting today with Russell Bruce.
Hello, everybody out there.
So I am kind of excited about today's episode. We are actually talking to singer Miss Sirena Grace. Welcome to the show, Sirena.
Hi, how are you guys doing? Thank you for having me.
We are very delighted to have you today. Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast is inspired by everything of the heart and soul. So a part of that is music. And we know that music can be inspiring. It could be reflective. It could be set you in a time as well.
Plus, it's a universal language.
And it's a universal language. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Sirena is 28 years old. Her family is from Santiago, Dominican Republic. I first heard her music sitting in her mother's hair salon in Marietta, Georgia. And your mom was so proud of you. And I was like, but that's Adele. She's like, no, that's my daughter. I was like, oh, amazing. And then when I saw you singing at the Braves Stadium, SunTrust Park, I was blown away.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I'm just so happy we're here to chat with you today.
Thank you. Oh my God, that was such a long time ago. I remember that Adele video was my first video that I ever posted on YouTube or anything. Yep. That was at like the end of 2015. I think it was December 2015.
Wow. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your journey as far as being a Latina artist in the United States. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so well, my mom is she came to the US before I was born. She's from Dominican Republic, and my dad, he's from El Salvador, and I was actually born in New York. So I got a lot of culture in New York because in New York is kind of like a melting pot of pretty much every culture in the world. So I grew up with a lot of diversity. And when I was 14, I moved to Atlanta, and it was a little bit of a culture shock because there wasn't that many Dominican people over here. It was a lot of Mexican people, and we're all Latino, and I love my Mexican people, but it wasn't that many Dominican people. It was probably my sister and me and my cousin. We were like the three Dominican girls at the school. So just that alone was kind of it was different because we were so proud of being Dominican. Like my mom, she has her Dominican hair salon, and in New York our heritage is celebrated so much, and over here is kind of like, we don't have Dominican Day Parade in Atlanta. We have that in New York. We don't have that here. So yeah, it was a bit of a culture shock, but fast forward, that was like in 2005, and now I feel like the city is a little bit more diverse. So it's kind of cool being like not being as saturated as in New York, because I am one of the few Dominican artists over here in Atlanta. I do kind of get like a little bit, that attention is good because people are like, oh, Dominican, there's not that many of us, so it's kind of like a small circus, so a lot of us know each other. So it's cool because it's a growing market, but it's small, but it's definitely big enough to still make a buzz. So it's definitely been it's been challenging at times, but it's also been cool to kind of break the Dominican culture in Atlanta a little bit, because my mom was also one of the first Dominican salons over here in Atlanta, which you might know because you've been going over there for some years.
That's good stuff.
Thank you.
So what were some of your musical influences growing up? Was it family members, or are there particular artists that you were influenced by growing up?
Definitely I was influenced by Whitney Houston. My dad, he loved movies. So one of the first movies that I remember when I was little was The Bodyguard. And I don't even remember the movie that much, but I remember the songs from the movie, and I would just practice those songs, and I would practice Selena songs. Selena was one of my very early inspirations too. And but yeah, Whitney and Selena were kind of like my two favorite singers while I was growing up. And of course other singers like Mariah Carey. As I was growing up, I kind of got into her more. And yeah, and people, you know, even before Whitney and Mariah, like Gladys Knight and Patti LaBelle. I definitely look up to singers like that also.
Good stuff. By the way, Selena de Selena movie, we were just talking about it. That was one of my favorite movies. I've probably seen it about.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what's in your playlist right now.
Right now, that's funny because my fiance actually just got off the live with Angel McCautry, and she actually has a good song out right now. It's called Never Let Go, and it kind of has it's like an Afro beat type of song. So I'm into that, you know, that island kind of music because I'm Caribbean. So I definitely like island music. And I like a lot of 90s because growing up in New York, I did grow up in the hip hop era. So Notorious B.I.G., Nas, Lauryn Hill, Fugees. Like I love, you know, 90s music. That's a big influence for me.
Wow, that's a real wide range of influence. So what genre of music would you actually classify your music as?
You know,
Or fine.
I'm sorry, the phone kind of cut up a little bit.
I said, or have you not yet defined it one way or the other?
Well, that's it's definitely a blend. It's definitely a fusion of genres together. So I've worked on a wide range of music, from R&B to ballads to all Spanish, you know, all Spanish ballad. So it's kind of like the underlying tone is basically Latin, but I want it to be, I don't really want it to be just in one genre, but I do want it to be always to go back to the Latin roots. So if you hear our R&B song, it might have some Latin congas in there or something, some Latin drums, or, you know, we're working on mixing the genres together for sure. So it's going to be something new.
What inspires you right now, mostly?
Right now, I'm really I try not to get too political with things because, things can just get really passionate and heated when you talk about politics. But activism has definitely always just kind of been instilled in me. And that's kind of, I don't know, just kind of growing up being a minority, that's kind of like that's one of my passions, like speaking up for people, speaking up for my people, for people who don't have a platform. So like that's stuff like that inspires me, because I feel like a lot of minorities don't have opportunities. And so when I do see a minority that has a platform and that's doing great things with their platform, that really gets me going. And I feel like, okay, you know what, like that's what art is for, is to, you know, it's like, to me, art is kind of like, you know, it has to be a something, a meaning behind it, you know. It's like, to me, art is activism in ways.
Yeah, it's like a message that's deeper than the surface.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you get it.
let me ask you a question. So with that said, what message would you like to convey to your listening audience? Like at the end of the day, at the end of your career, what message would you like to convey through your music and through your art?
You know, that's a beautiful question, because, you know, like that's basically like the foundation of why every artist makes music. So that's kind of like a question that we have to ask ourselves constantly. Like, what do we want to say in our music? And we want to say a lot of things through our music, but I feel like what I mostly want to say It's kind of like I want to tell my story to kind of like maybe help somebody else that might feel that like they're in a rut or something, and so they can see like, you know what, Serena Grace made it and she did this, so I can do it too. You know, I can be a fighter, I can do this. So I guess it's kind of like, I'm sorry, can I get a little emotional?
No, it's okay.
Excuse me. But yeah, you know, I just, if I make it, I kind of want that to be like, you know, hopeful for other people to make it also.
So do you feel that you best convey your emotions and your message through your music, through conversation, through writing it down? What way do you feel best express yourself?
Definitely through music, but I'm also in school for journalism, so I'm a writer. So I feel like I have a passion. My first love is music, but I have a passion for like just like art in general. So things like film and movies. I'm sorry. I kind of got a little like backtrack because I kind of got a little emotional in the last question.
That's fine.
We want to keep it real.
But can you just go back and repeat the question just one more time?
So I was just basically, you know, because some artists say that, you know, they're not big conversationalists. Like I was listening to Summer Walker in an interview. She was saying she really like talking when she's on stage performing. You know, a lot of artists in between songs,
Right.
you know, kind of let you know where they stand emotionally and
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah.
So
So
I was asking if you felt that you best convey your
But she said,
emotions
yeah,
through
she said
your
she likes to.
exactly. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I kind of got a little lost my train of thought there. But yeah, so writing. So I feel like, you know, things like even like writing screenplays, you know, you can express yourself through things like that. But I feel like for me, definitely through writing and speaking. And I feel like and definitely through music. Those are my strongest forms of expression for sure.
How important as an artist to you do you feel that it is to write your own music?
I feel
To
like
write,
I feel like it is important to write your own music, but I also feel like it's important to know, you know, to see other people's perspectives, because I feel like if it's only us listening to ourselves the whole time, we could probably have like maybe a little bias or something. We might have a biased ear. But you know, if we have somebody outside of ourselves, you know, like I feel like even every author has an editor or somebody that's kind of like you know, like just another opinion, you know, because if not, then you're just gonna have one point of view for everything. So I appreciate I appreciate both things. I appreciate artists who write their songs, but I also appreciate like you know, just multiple people collaborating, because you have multiple perspectives in it also. Not too many people, but just, you know, more than one perspective for sure.
Yeah. What are you currently working on now?
Right now, I'm actually working on my own personal project. So I'm actually recruiting producers to work on my own EP. So I'm collaborating with different writers and different producers, and we're coming up with my own original content right now.
Ah, that's good stuff.
Thank
Um,
you.
Serena, how has COVID-19 changed things for you right now, personally? How has this affected you personally?
Oof, it's definitely affected my professional my professional life more than my personal, because I feel like with my personal life is definitely, you know, but when you're a working mom, you don't have that much time with your family. So when you're at home, you feel good when you with your family and with your kids and stuff. But I mean professionally, I've had two major events that were canceled because of it that could have been great exposure. And you know, one of them was a celebrity bowl-a-thon that was with Charles Barkley and Shaq, and another one was the opening of a theater in Roswell that was supposed to be on CNN in Espanol. So that was supposed to be like some good coverage right there, but things just push everything back. And also even just, I actually was booked to go on what's that, there's another show over here in Atlanta and Co, and that got canceled too because of the pandemic. So it's a lot of things that got pushed back, but also it's also taught me how to use what you have. And so people are doing a lot of at home interviews and things like that, and so that's also, it's kind of making things simpler a little bit. So it's kind of bringing things back to the basics, which I think is pretty cool, because it's teaching everybody that there, even though we don't have we can do things one way, we can still find another way to do things.
Absolutely. Do you feel like this is an era? Do you feel we're gonna be here for a minute with this pandemic? What are your personal views on that?
I, you know, I feel like it's gonna stick around for a little while. I really, and when I say a little while, I mean like it's probably gonna be, I would say at least a year. I feel like it's probably gonna be safe to travel for me personally. I think by maybe fall 2021. I think like when things are maybe like going completely back to normal for me personally.
Yeah.
But I mean, because I feel like even if things are up and running right now, I don't necessarily feel like it's safe, things. I feel like if you have to travel for work, of course you have to, those are things that are necessary. But personal leisure travel, like I'm just gonna go to the Bahamas with my family and things like that, like that stuff is put off, I would say, till at least a year. So
Okay.
yeah, but of course for things for travel, I know that people, we're definitely we're gonna be forced to travel pretty soon for work. So that's, I feel like we're gonna have to be adjusting to a new normal, at least for, I don't know, at least for about a year, I would say.
Yeah, and I feel like people are getting very creative, like you said, with home
Yeah.
interviews and or Zoom meetings and stuff like that. So I do feel that we are in a different time, the beginning of a different time as well.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
so Serena, who are some of the artists or producers that you have collaborated with so far, and what artists and producers would you love to work with in the future?
So I'm currently collaborating with this Latino band called Makey Movies. They actually just got nominated for a Grammy this past Grammy season. So they're definitely on the rise, and I'm working with them and their producer, which is their drummer. And I was working with let me see. It's kind of been I'm trying to remember the names because it's been quite a few. but yeah, oh, there's this other producer. He's actually a really great producer. His name is Wonder. He's a great producer. He actually produced a song for T.I. I think it was actually What You Know About That, or it was actually You Can Have Whatever You Like. It was one of those.
Okay.
Yeah, and also I've worked with GH Pancho. He's also Mexican. He's a Mexican American artist. I actually have a song with him called Broken Wings, and that's on. And one is called Broken Wings, another one is Simple, but they're both on Apple Music and every music platform right now. So yeah,
That's good stuff.
thank
Very
you.
good.
So, you are a mom. How old is your
Yeah,
son?
he's 12.
Wow.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. So you are busy, and I understand you did have you went through teenage pregnancy as well.
I
Um,
did. Yes.
can you tell us how that inspired you? How that whole process was as far as, continuing on your path?
Yeah, well, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like at whatever age, a woman becomes a mom, I feel like it's kind of the same burden, whether, and I would say, I don't mean to say burden, but I would say it's kind of like the same load that you have to take on, whether you're 26, 16, or 36, I feel like people, when they might be like, oh, how did you make it, or you were 16. Like, I feel like if I was 26, I would, that there's moms who are older than I was when I had my, who suffer from postpartum depression, which is something that's very real, that every mom has to deal with. So I feel like every mom, it doesn't matter what age you become a mom, it's kind of like the same thing. You kind of just have to go into like high gear and just kind of your motherly instincts just take over. So with me having my child at 16, I feel like when people say, oh, how you were so strong, but I don't really feel like I was strong, because I feel like I just did what I had to do as a mom, which was just take care of my child and work, which is what every other mom in the world does that I know. So it's kind of like, yeah, I'm strong, but I feel like women as a whole, we are strong. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like just, me having a baby so young, I had good role models like my mom. She's a very strong, independent woman. She's a business owner, and she also, raised 4 kids up until she got married, like later on in her 30s. But yeah, like I feel like I just kind of did what every mom just does, and I just took care of my child and just went to work, and that's it. And
Yeah.
I feel like, if everybody just kind of I feel like young moms and a lot of moms are actually, after they have a baby, they kind of find it hard to kind of settle down a little bit. And I feel like, if you, I feel like, I don't know, like some moms, if you just when your motherly instinct kicks in, you kind of know what to do, so I feel like those things just kind of took over.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think no matter what the age a woman becomes a mom, something kicks in, and you just
Exactly.
have to do to take care of your child.
Exactly.
Does your son really look up to you? Does he admire what you're doing? Is he very artistic? Does he sing
Oh
or in
yeah.
any of the art?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. He was just Aladdin in his summer camp this last summer. So he's very much into the arts, and he loves creating, like, even just videos. He does, even like during the pandemic, he does like little confessional videos and edits them himself. And we don't have a basketball hoop in the house, so he made a basketball hoop out of cardboard, and he's very creative, and yeah, and it's kind of like I always I always know that he's looking, so I always try to just kind of be a good example for him. It's kind of like that commercial. I don't know if you guys seen that commercial of I think it's like a university commercial. They said is the parents working late and the kid is watching, and they said someone's always watching. That's how I feel with him. I feel like he sees when I'm working late. He sees everything that I'm doing, and he sees the hard work, just like I saw my mom. So that's definitely instilled in him.
Yeah, there's a saying that they might not always listen to what you say, but they see what you do.
Exactly. Yeah, and I want him to see, like, look, you're going to school and you're struggling with well, he doesn't struggle because he's definitely a honor student, but I'm saying, like, I'm going through your same struggles. Like, I have homework too, and it's frustrating. I don't want to do it, but I got to do it. So, we relate on that aspect. So it's kind of cool, being in school together. I kind of try to look at things from a different perspective all the time.
Yeah, that's awesome. What would you say are 1 to 2 of your biggest fears right now?
So two of my biggest fears currently would be just not knowing, because I feel like I'm the kind of person that just, I like to know. I like to be in the know, in the know of things. And I feel like right now we don't really know what this virus really does to us, like in full effect. Like, if people who have had it, how does it affect you long term and things like that. And these are kind of like I'm in school for journalism, so I kind of have like that journalistic like instinct. Like, I need to get to the bottom of this. Like, I don't like
Yeah.
not knowing. So it's kind of, like that definitely, bothers me. And another thing, let me see, I'm trying to think, another fear right now. Another fear right now would be just not being to protect my family, not fully being able to protect my family, especially my son, because I know that eventually he's gonna have to go back out into school and things like that. And so that's a scary thought, because that's out of my control. And I don't like not being in control of things.
Yeah, that's scary. It's definitely scary.
Yeah,
Kids, just if they're going to go back to school and, are all the kids going to have to be tested? It is. We're
exactly.
in very uncertain times. And
Yeah,
I do feel like we're all trying to figure it out.
yeah,
Just trying to press our way in a time of darkness, because it's really a time of darkness.
exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, outside of music, what are some of the things that you like to do with your free time?
So like I said, I'm in school for journalism. So I've recently picked up a hobby for documentary filmmaking, which is like, I don't know, it's kind of become like a new love of mine, like filming and editing. I never thought that I could do that before, but being in school and I've taken like some media classes and like how to use Adobe and
Yeah.
all these things and how to learn angles and audio and lighting, and that's so fascinating to me. And I love talking to people and just having conversations with people. So I feel like the art of documentary filmmaking is kind of like, that could be like a cool side hobby for me.
Yeah,
That's
there's
cool.
so much that goes into just putting something together
Exactly, for
that we
sure.
don't see. We just see the finished product.
Yeah.
So maybe one
Exactly.
day you're going to be directing your own music videos.
Oh, you know what? That's not very far-fetched. I definitely want to do that. So
Good
thank you.
stuff.
Thank you.
So, Serena, what is one book that you can recommend to our listeners, and why would you recommend that book?
Oh my God, this is like such a easy question for me because I love The Alchemist, and I know a lot of people love that book, and
Yeah.
it might be like some people might call it a high school book. Like I have a friend say, "Oh, that's a high school book," but
Power.
there's a reason why so many great people love that book. Will Smith, like just somebody off the top of my head that always talks about that book. Jay-Z, he just mentioned Santiago in one of his songs. I don't know what song, but that book, I feel like The Alchemist is just is that story's been retold so many times in almost every movie that we see. But I feel like if you really understand that book, it kind of changes your life, because it's kind of, you start to see just how things are connected and you start to realize your power. And yeah, like I feel like that book, it can easily be confused for like a fiction book, because it's kind of like a fiction story, but is a whole metaphor. It's really deep.
Yeah, we get
It is
it.
definitely.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know, yeah, I know.
Yeah, matter of fact, it was Will Smith's interview that caused me to actually get it. I listened
Oh
to the
yeah.
audiobook, but I need to get the hard copy to go back through it because I forgot a lot of it. But
Yeah.
it was
I feel
great.
like you have to have a certain level of maturity to read it, because my sister, she read it in when she was like in 10th grade or something, and it just went right over her head. But she read it again when she was like 25 and she loved it. So, yeah. You have to read it with a certain mindset.
I
What
totally
did you
agree.
get from it? Like, what are some of your favorite, or what was your biggest takeaway? Because we all can read that one book and get many different perspectives from it.
Mhm.
So what was like one of your takeaways that you apply in your everyday life?
Um Well, there's many lessons in the book that I love, but the biggest takeaway that I learned from it was that you don't know your own power until you're put to the test. So like, like when I feel like we always say we can do something, we can do it, we can do it. But then like when it really comes down to it, you don't even know how you're doing it. You just do it. And then after you're like, oh my God, I just did that. Like what? So it's kind of like, that's kind of how when he created Win at the end, he thought he couldn't do it. But then when he was really put to the test, he did it because he had to believe that he could do it, like really, really believe. And
Yeah.
You never
yeah,
know how strong you are until that's your last option.
Yeah.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
just that belief system, like you could do anything that you really believe that you could do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was so crazy that day of God Bless America that I got to sing at the stadium that day. I actually that wasn't even planned. I went
I
there.
kind of felt that. I kind of felt that from the YouTube video that it was unplanned.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was crazy. It was crazy because I was there to see my friends, Josh and Angelica Bias. They have a band and they were performing that day. So they were at the Battery and I went there to see them. And I remember looking around. I was looking around. I can remember that moment. And I was like, I want to sing here one day. I literally said that. And
Wow.
and then like when it was like a movie, like no lie. I was about to leave because I had something to go to. I was volunteering at a concert at school. And then the engineer, he's like, Serena. I hear like somebody like Serena, like calling my name. And I'm like, what? Nobody. I'm like, who knows me over here? And so I turn around and he was like, hey, do you have somewhere to go and stuff? And I was like, no. So then he's like, he told me that the singer had to cancel and stuff. So if I wanted to sing. And then I was like, no way. I'm like, no, this can't be. I thought I was being pranked. I thought I was being pranked. It was so crazy because I was literally just thinking that I want to sing here. I was thinking the national anthem. I don't know why, but I was like, I want to sing the national anthem here one day. And then like not even like 10 minutes later, this guy comes up to me asking me if I want to sing God Bless America during the 7th inning. And that game, it was a packed game because they were playing the Phillies and that was a big game. It was crazy. It was crazy. And then they aired it on TV. It was that was crazy.
It was very, I could feel the energy just from you singing, and I could just tell you just put everything into it. I just felt all of that.
That was like my Santiago moment because I had such stage fright. Like before that, I didn't even sing in front of people because I was so scared to sing in front of people. Oh my God. Like even just I shake just to sing, like just to even talk to a big crowd of people sometimes. Like I have stage fright. And I had to overcome that for 40,000 people. That was crazy. That was my moment. That was my Santiago moment for sure.
That was.
We talk a lot on this show about synchronicities, and that is a perfect example of what a synchronicity is.
Exactly.
And also talk about how the universe really doesn't give you what you want. It responds to what you're feeling.
Oh yeah, for sure.
A lot of people say they want things, but deep down inside, they're not really feeling it or emoting it, all right? Mm-hmm. Energy and emotion. You're sending that energy out and somebody walks up to you. I love it because that's exactly what we talk about on the show.
It's so crazy. It gives me chills talking about it because it happened. Like people wouldn't believe it. Like stuff like that only happens in movies. Like
it's real. You tapped into your power.
Exactly. And it's crazy. Like sometimes like you're kind of afraid of your own power sometimes,
Exactly.
So then when you realize that you have that much power, it's like, oh my God, it's electrifying.
Dare to be amazing. Stay in that energy.
Exactly.
Thank you, guys.
So today, at the time of this podcast, what would you say is the biggest matter of your heart? And it could be whatever you want it to be. It don't have to be music related. It could just be whatever is the biggest passion, the biggest matter right now.
The biggest matter right now. I guess the biggest thing weighing on my heart right now would be not seeing my mom. Even though we're in the same city, she's not even too far away from me. She's in Mapleton and I'm in Buckhead. But she's, it feels like we're so far away. And that's kind of like weighing on me a little bit because I had my birthday in March and I had Mother's Day and I didn't see her. And it's kind of like so weird. It was so weird. So it's still weighing on me a little bit. So
yeah.
Are you guys practicing social distancing?
Yeah, definitely because I have my 12-year-old here, so in my mom's house I have cousins who are working all the time and they're going in and out the house, so I'm really just trying to, if it was just me I would probably be a little bit more lenient, but since I have my son whose name is Angel, I have Angel over here, the stakes are definitely up times a million.
Yeah, I definitely understand that.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
So, Serena, we want to hear you sing.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, that's us.
Yes, and all of our listeners.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, I don't know. Since we were talking about Selena earlier, and she's like kind of like my favorite singer of all time. So
we can do Selena.
We can relate.
I'll sing a little bit of Selena. Sorry, I'm a little shaky because you guys kind of got me a little emotional during my interview.
That's okay. All good.
Okay. Yo sé que tienes un nuevo amor, sin embargo te deseo lo mejor. Si en mí no encontraste felicidad, tal vez alguien más te la dará. Como la flor, con tanto amor, me diste tú. Se marchitó, me marchó y yo sé perder. Pero, ay, cómo me duele.
Great
Beautiful.
job. Beautiful voice.
Thank you guys. I'm a little nervous.
That proves that music is universal because it does not matter what language you speak or listen in. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. This was a beautiful interview. Thank you guys.
Yeah, very beautiful. Was there anything else you want to share with our listeners? Anything else out there you just want everybody to know about yourself?
Well, really I guess just follow me on my social media. My social media is at Sirena Grace _.
Can you spell for the listening audience?
Sirena is SIRENA, Grace GRACE _, and that's on Twitter and Facebook. It's the same thing at Sirena Grace.
Yep. And do you have any of your music out now for anyone to buy or purchase? And how can they get that? Do they just need to contact you or?
Well, right now I have some singles out, but they're features, so definitely they're out on Apple Music. I have one is called Simple with GH Poncho, and that came out last year in 2019. And I have another one called Broken Wings. And yes, and you guys can find those on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Sirena, it's been a pleasure. And when you blow up, don't forget us little people. We want to interview you after you blow up.
Exactly.
You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much.
So yeah, this has been another episode of Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast. We just finished speaking with Sirena Grace, beautiful, beautiful singer and songwriter. Check her music out. Follow her on Instagram. Sirena, we thank you. We appreciate you. Keep spreading just your beautiful messages through your beautiful voice. And like you say, keep the activism up for minorities, people that look like you, and keep inspiring a lot of other women that's coming up behind you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You too. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.